the updates, how to have one guest speaker. We thought about even bringing people outside dentistry to give a different flavor, but we realized that inside dentistry we have an outside speaker that can be a dentist and speak about topics that extrapolate dentistry, and he's also a dear friend that I know since many years now. I remember first time we met. I remember the first time I went to his office, actually still at the final years of my career as a technician. We actually did a case together, so that's why everybody that knows my lectures know I always start with a slide that shows all the top doctors that I'm very proud that I worked for as a technician, and Miguel is part of that list. And I remember, walking into his office and envisioning an ideal DSD office already working there even before we met. So actually, it was one of the few offices that I saw many of the ideas that we were spreading at DSD already implemented, even though before we met and we discussed the ideas, meaning we shared the same vision in terms of how to change the experience of the patient on the first, second appointment, how to actually have a DSD room. We call it the DSD room, and Miguel in 2011-12 already had a DSD room in his office, beautiful, super cool, with all the technology to present treatment plans to patients, and the way he was changing the experience, the emotional experience of the patient during the process of understanding the treatment, diagnosing, designing, and presenting case acceptance, etc., with business and marketing know-how, and really changing the perception of a dental office. So, of course, we immediately connected. Hopefully some of the DSD ideas were even more helpful to him to bring his office even further, as he was already a very successful dentist. But also, I believe Miguel became an international speaker on topics that I love, since you all know I'm very philosophical as well. I like to see the big picture, and Miguel always talked about big picture topics, very motivational, great communicator. He was once in TV, he was once a model, he was once entertainer. He is now hired to be a MC of many dental events. I don't know how, now he has 2 babies. So I don't know, people say, Christian, I don't know how you find time to do everything. The same thing with Miguel. So I'm very thankful that Miguel said yes, of course. We are paying him a super high honorarium for him to be here.
Yes.
Extremely high honorarium.
Yes, I think it's a glass of red wine.
And I already paid him his honorarium. I gave him a hug as he came in, and that's the honorarium.
That's true.
So just pure friendship. I'm very thankful you came, my friend.
It's my pleasure.
And, the stage is yours.
I'll give you a hug.
All
right, well, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. I recognize a few faces here today, and it's amazing what I walked in. I was blown away. I actually met Christian on a conference call because I was lecturing in Germany somewhere, and I saw this poster of this really good-looking guy. I was like, who the hell is that good-looking guy? And I got really, I felt threatened. So I made some phone calls. Who the hell is this guy coming in to my turf, And we started talking, and we literally have explored the entire universe of dentistry over the years. And when I had an opportunity back in 2015, I think, we had a young rock star. Not many people know this, but I treat a lot of celebrities. I don't put it on social media because we have to sign NDAs and all of that stuff. But I had this one guy, and it was just a classic, really important case. And I said, Christian, could you fly out? And he flew out from Brazil for this. And so he arrives. He says, do you have any wax? And I was like, because we were doing DSD already, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And we'd already done some cases with Francis, and I'd flown to Madrid, and I'd seen the early inceptions, and I really like to give a big shout out to Francis Coachman as well, because the guy is just one of the smartest, knowledgeable people that I know. I don't know where he is, but a round of applause to Francis. He's really Francis, what's it like being the good-looking one in the family? I just do. So, and of course, John and everybody behind the scenes, I've just seen all of the work that they put in, but this is real. You know, this, I just walked in here, I was overwhelmed by the size. It's cool, this is real. I felt like I was in Silicon Valley. But you have to come back to the inceptions, to the beginnings, and the Coachman family are very strong on history. So this is where I realized that this good-looking, smooth-talking, connected dude was real. Because he comes in and he's really, you know, and you talk to Christian, it's like you're disarmed by how open and just kind he is. And I was like, and I'm like, where's the faulty part, you know? When's the bullshit gonna pop out, you know? Because there's a lot of bullshit in dentistry, let's just face it. So, you know, and we start talking, he's like, where's the wax? And he comes in, he takes an impression, we run the impression, and I didn't have one, I didn't have a wax machine. I sent somebody out to buy one, comes back, and he was interfacing with this rock star, and we're talking to him, and just having a laugh and stuff. And then he sits down, he's got the gypsum models, and he sits there, doesn't look up for about 2 hours. He says, leave me alone now. And we're in the room talking around, and he's there, and he does it by hand. And I don't know how to do that, right? So he does it by hand, and he's rotating. He doesn't look up, he doesn't look at photographs, he hasn't got anything in front of him. He's got the conversation with this musician in his head. And there's a time constraint because the guy's got to fly like at 6 p.m. or something like that. And then he says, okay, give me some silicone. He rubs the silicone, he makes the index, give me a scalpel, he does the thing. Go to the chair, we go to the chair. Give me some Bizacryl, he injects it, puts it in the mouth, takes it out, and it's perfect. Not only is it aesthetically perfect, but the occlusion is perfect. I'm like, damn. Damn, this guy's good. Because that's not normal. That's superhuman, that's the real deal, that's the magic. So I can only say that every single inch of this building is founded on the real deal. Real deal. It's not an idea, not show off, not look what I think I can do. This is the real deal. And if you don't have a backbone, if you don't have a backbone, if you don't have a femur, you can't stand up straight. So honestly, Christian, you blew me away back then. You've been blowing me away with everything that you've been doing on stage. I posted this yesterday, your integrity, your openness, the way you share your ideas without ever owning them. I don't know any, not just in dentistry, almost in any industry that thinks that way, that has acted that way. Also, I'd have to say, you know, guys behind you that are over there in that corner who don't want to be you, that want to support you and that want to lift you up, because I'm sure everybody in this room has given their hand to somebody that then all of a sudden bit it and thought that they could do what you do. You could literally tell somebody to do what you do and train them for years after years, but that would never make them you, bro, because you're the real deal. And I really, honestly, I'm just so grateful to be a part of this journey. So that's, you know, when I started out in 1999, I bought a practice. This is my very first practice. I was so insecure. I was really, you know, this is, internet still was modular, it didn't really exist. And so this was my first room. I had the sofa in it. I designed it myself because I couldn't afford an architect, and I put a Zen garden in there. And I remember once I came to Expo Dental in Madrid in 1998, and as they were designing this, or 1999, and I was designing this, and the gardener said, should we remove the tree? I was like, no. So I've had stress every single step of the way in my profession, mostly from people you wouldn't really expect to get stress from. This is my first digital wall-mounted X-ray device. We were using RVG with Trophy back in 1999. And I'm also very proud to be the vice president of the Digital Dentistry Society. So my journey in digital really started a long way back then. And I'm also particularly proud of the fact that this woman here has been with me for 19 years now. She's had 2 kids. She's my orthodontist. I love her to bits. And I'm very proud of that, and I have a lot of women on my team who are very open, with LGBTQ friendly. We don't see races, colors, gender. Everybody deserves a beautiful smile. But then I cheated. In 2005, I sold a TV show to the national network. I'd been out to Vegas, and I met the guys from Extreme Makeover, and I saw that these guys were celebrities in their own right, and I thought, you know what, I can do that. So these are the kind of cases we were doing, and since my background is in prostho and implant dentistry, I was doing all of that combined, and I was doing freehand smile design, just putting big blobs of composite and spending an hour in the mouth, reshaping the teeth, and thanking God that I'd actually learned how to design and sculpt teeth back in university on wax, and why the hell do I need this? And you know what? Everything's a lesson. And what we were doing was we were bringing emotional dentistry, a sentence that Christian uses a lot, back in 2005, and this was seen by over 9 million people in Portugal that thought that dentistry was about filling and extraction and partial dentures. My business blew up, okay? I mean, I was the most profitable and most hated dentist in my country. I probably still am. And with that, I got a lot of press, a lot of media attention, and I milked it. I bought the Porsches, I bought the art, the watches, dated the models, ended up marrying one many years later. But this is all before Facebook was even, this was before Facebook. This is 2006, 2007, 2008. And then in 2008, I built a huge practice, 2,700 square meters. We had the DSD rooms, 14 operatories, maxillofacial surgeon, hair transplant unit. We had an image consultancy, had a gymnasium, I had a restaurant, we had, you name it, in anti-aging medicine, we had it. We were doing blood tests, we had, and I wasn't renting out the spaces, they all worked for me. So I had 5 plastic surgeons, we were doing lip lifts and facelifts. One of our TV shows, and this is documented, we had a surgeon doing a tummy tuck, a facelift, and I was placing implants all under general anesthetic at the same time in 2009. Problem, people can't afford all of this. And that's one of the big things in dentistry, is one thing that you market and the other thing that people want to buy. But the cool news is, guys, there's 7 billion people on Earth. And it took me a very long time to understand that my clinic, is only for 0.1% of my country. And that doesn't make me an elitist, it just makes me a realist. And while I was building all of this, it's a very interesting time. This is inside, we had a training facility, we were dreaming big. And then what happened was a shock to me, but I found out that my accountant and best friend of many years that was managing my accounts, and I was just signing blank checks because I was a rock star, had stolen all of my money, everything. So when I say everything, going to the ATM and literally the ATM trying to put handcuffs on me. And all of this was happening while I was on television looking like, a superstar, super suave, driving around in Porsches, beautiful girls. I was living the dream. Everything that people dream of, that success can buy, I had it. I had it. I had it before Facebook, and that's why nobody ever saw it on social media. So in 2009, that was all happening. And I actually even ended up in Hollywood doing the doctors. People couldn't understand what a Portuguese dentist was doing in Hollywood. Well, the first show I did, the ratings went through the roof, and they were trying to bring me to LA to be a permanent fixture as a dentist on the show. So you have Travis Stork, you have a gynecologist, he was a pediatrician, he's a plastic surgeon, and I was going to be the dentist, and I was going to be the one that was going to make dentistry impactful, because part of my journey has been not talking to dentists, but talking to the general public. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we all have, is that, man, I know all this stuff, why don't you know this stuff? And we're still fighting the fact that people think if it doesn't hurt, there's no problem. And what happened was, so I lost everything. I lost my home, I lost my girlfriend, I lost everything. The repo man, the inland revenue came and took everything, and it was a really difficult time, because not only had I lost my money, which I don't really care about, but I'd lost my reputation. Because in a small country like Portugal, when all of a sudden the news gets out, it was made public. We were keeping it very private, and the news came out because some jealous dentist posted it on Facebook. That was now a thing. Look, 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 and then that went viral in Portugal. I was on the cover of newspapers, and everybody thought that I had stolen this money. Now, one thing you one day might, and I hope never learn, is that the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Finance are 2 different departments. So it took me 5 years to get justice. And in those 5 years, most of the companies thought I was toxic. This guy's not who he says he is. And all of that stories of Icarus flying to the sun, and I had this clinic, but that was really money, real money from we were doing 350 units a month back in 2008. At 1,500 euros a unit, we were doing 1,000 implants a year. Just do the math. And I had a team and we were doing it. It was very interesting times. Lost everything. And the only thing I had then was to focus hard work, consistency, ethics, and my drive. My brother sat with me and said, Miguel, now remember, I'm on primetime television. This is all happening at the same time. It was the toughest part of my life. I remember being broken and thinking of running away, just going to open a restaurant, to hell with it. But my team stuck with me. They said, look, don't have to pay our salary. Why would my team do that? Because I treat them with respect, loyalty. I don't screw around with my staff. You treat people with ethics, you get ethics back. This is real. And some of my companies that I've been working with, instantly, the month that you don't pay, friendship ends. And then it was an amazing filtering process for me to understand who was real and who wasn't. But the one thing that really saved me was my patients. They said, you know what, you're too good to fail. So very fortunately, my brother, he lent me some money. We opened White Clinic 2.0 in 2012. And since then, January 2012, I've been focused on one thing, and that is a new currency. Not the euro, not the dollar, but reputation. And it's a harder currency. Like Bitcoin, it's something ethereal. You can't really know what it is, but reputation is a true currency, and it's something that DSD and all of you guys have been building out of one thing: consistency, hard work, ethics, drive, passion. So I'm very, very proud that I've still got people on my team. Nowadays, my relationship with companies and tech companies around the world is supreme. I have no shares in any company. I have no stocks in any company. I'm a KOL for a few companies, but I can walk away from any contract at any time I want. I only allow things in White Clinic that truly reflect my identity, my passion, my drive, and my ethical values. My team and my staff trust me to make those choices for them. And we've been building what I think today is one of the best equipped dental practices on earth. And during this journey back in 2016, about a month after Christian's wedding, this is one of the most famous TV shows in Brazil. We decided, because one of the parts of this journey was DSD, was understanding this is revolutionary. So here's Christian's amazing, beautiful human being father. Don't get too emotional, Christian, okay? And we actually, a few months, I think a few days after your wedding, which was amazing, by the way, and thank you for that, to your beautiful wife, Nicole. And we went to the Wells Clinic, and what do I see? The real deal. I see the foundation of, the heritage of the Coachman family. There's 5-6 generations. I see the integrity. I see the same passion and the same loyalty and the same drive in the staff. It's clean, it's functional, and it's amazing. And they were very gracious enough to let me do some work in that clinic as well. And again, you can say whatever you want on social media. Great marketing can hide anything, but this is real. And again, I was just really, it was a lot of fun to do that. And a few years later, in 2018, with Christian's morning coffee, we gave this podcast, and you went deep, dude. You were the first person to extract all of this from me, and you did set me free, because I wasn't very public about this. I'm sure that a lot of people, striving with failure is a very difficult thing. Everybody wants to show success. Look how great I am. But, and he managed to extract this conversation. It's actually online. If you go to the whole transcript of the whole thing, it will take quite a while to do, but this was very well received. I got messages from people all around the world thanking them for this inspiration. So you don't make anything from these conversations, but you're inspiring people. And for me, that inspiration is something that is, I know you don't do it because it's not even a DSD thing. It's a passion thing. It's a love for the craft thing. And I just think that, everybody fears something that looks too good to be true. I had that as well. I get that a lot as well. But you know what? Sometimes there is a real star amongst us, and you, my brother, are definitely one of them. So in the last years, I've given over 200 lectures in over 55 countries now. And, I treat a lot of celebrities, all of that, but that's not what matters. what truly matters for me is that's the patient of that very first TV show that I did. I had a camera in my face. I could have got away with it. Let's face it, shitty dentistry is very forgiving. It usually only surfaces after about 4 or 5 years, and patients are usually too embarrassed to go back to the originator of the complication and find another clinic. So not many dentists are well aware of the problems that they generate. This is that patient's 14 years later. That's what matters to me. So true success for me, thanks to my bankruptcy and the changing of my currency, is measured in the longevity of each case you treat, the happiness you generate for your patients and your team, and not just in every dollar you make. I finish my days and my weeks not saying how much money have I got in my bank account. I say how much stress did we have today, how much stress did we have this week. That's my currency. Going home to my baby, to my wife, to my kids, to my friends, and literally not feeling... How many people here suffers from professional anxiety? I mean, literally, who doesn't? Please let me come and live with you and spend with you, because, you know, it's one of the toughest professions in the world. If you're Dsd Masters, you're probably the the most hated dentist in your community. Right? You know, nobody's ever famous close to home. I know you get that, Bartos. I'm sure you get that as well. And I was just talking to you, Andrea, you know, that your husband, your team, your kids, I don't think they really understand how difficult it is to take time out of your practice, out of your life, the energy that it takes to be a part of this, you know. Well, you know, your team as well? My team just thinks sometimes that things just pop up magically, you know. They don't understand that I don't go like you know, on weekends I'm working because we own our businesses and we're the driving force. It's very difficult. So we all know the history of dentistry. I graduated in 1998. In 2008, I bought my first CBCT off Kodak at the time, which is now Carestream Dental. It cost 250,000 euros. At the time, remember, I was rich. This was before I'd been stolen. I had liquidity. So I'm like, yeah, the hell with it. And money, having a lot of money, actually, it's really cool. I don't have it anymore, but it was nice to have known what it's like. Now I'm married, I'm screwed, man. I'll never see a penny again. But so we installed this machine, and I'm like, man, it was the first one in the country. I'm like, now I'm going to monetize this. So the first patient comes in, and I do a lot of implants. I'm very passionate about implant dentistry, and I said, okay, let's do CBCT. Charge her 150 bucks. Second ago, that patient's like, oh, let me see if my insurance covers, because I'm fully private. So let me see if my insurance covers, because the CBCT is now, it's a medical hospital thing. And then she started talking, and second time, same thing. So I was like, you know what, just offer it to her, because there's no running costs for a digital CBCT. And that was the first and last time I ever tried to attempt charging for a CBCT. And then I realized that the first dental practice that had a toilet back in the 19th century probably didn't charge extra for someone to take a poop, right? Or the first clinic putting a free coffee machine in. You can't monetize everything. It's part of the feel. And that's why you also can't monetize every DSD you make. You can't monetize every toy you make. You can't. It's just part of who you want to be. What identity do you want to have? It's not all about money. Whenever you go online, the dental market, money, 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 money. There's a lot more to it, at least for me. So, you know, and there's a lot coming in the future. There's a lot of new gadgets on the market. These are all things in my clinic now. And there's a lot of technologies. We just got a new laser as well, but are they actually being used? I think one of the biggest problems of technology in any clinic is that when you acquire a piece of technology, like my first CEREC in 2009, bought it for 120K, we're like, man, now we're gonna really make money. We made 7 crowns, and that was it. How many people have technology that's gaining dust and they're like, feel like an idiot that they bought it, right? Okay, cool. By the way, send it to Africa, they need it. I'm being serious. If you want, reach out to me. I'm an ambassador for the Global Child Dental Fund, and there are countries in Central Africa that could really use outdated technology, so feel free to reach out to me on that one. But one of the things is that acquiring technology requires humans, and it requires you adding the time in your workflow. People say, oh, digital is going to save you time. In the chair. For the first year, it probably takes you more time if you actually add everything up. So evolution really has improved technology, techniques, and software, but has dentistry really changed? Because sometimes it's really frustrating. I come from these meetings so inspired. I see a lecture from Christian, I'm like, dang. I come back Monday morning and then I'm hit with somebody, oh doctor, my tooth is hurting me. And I'm like, damn it, I want to do Formula One, you know? So a lot of challenges to change in dentistry. I made this slide. I was invited by the American Dental Association in September to be a keynote speaker on how consumers in technology are driving change. And I spent some time, I do something that Jack Welch from General Electric's called, he passed away this week, an amazing man. He called it deep diving. And I put myself in the shoes of a salesperson. Do you know that the average salesperson, for example, for a composite company has to reach 10 dentists a day, regardless of traffic, regardless of rain, regardless of her kid being sick at school? And we don't have enough time to speak to these people when they wait for us, and you make them wait for an hour. We have to change that. We've got to be nice to everybody. Everybody's fighting their own battles, and everybody's suffering, and everybody's trying to make a living. There are a lot of assholes, don't get me wrong, okay? But usually they're not the people that are coming to try and help you learn new things. Why is dentistry so difficult to change? Why are there only 15% of clinics in the world that have a CBCT? 6% in the US. It's kind of scary. I'm famous for saying, I was in Chicago at the midwinter at the APS meeting, and at the end I said, if anybody here drove in a nice car to this meeting, places implants, and doesn't have a CBCT in your practice, you might want to rethink your life goals. Because you're taking money, you're putting your money in the wrong things. This is not the time to relax in dentistry. This is the time to really pull up your sleeves, eat a steak for breakfast, and really dig in. Because if you don't, Christian's been saying for a long time, change is coming. And you guys are all to be commended for the extra time you've taken out of your lives, the extra investment you've made, because it will make a difference. Health insurances don't recognize DSD. They don't recognize 90% of the things in my armamentarium. Government restrictions in some countries. In some countries you can't have a CBCT in your practice. Poor economies, easy one. Poor public perception. This is my fight here, poor public perception. Not understanding that digital and things like this can actually improve the quality of their life. There's a huge resistance to re-education. Where's my friend from Germany? There you are, man. Tell your story very quickly. Stand up, tell the story. This is not planned, by the way.
I was happy to meet Miguel last year in the German Congress, and they were like
1 month after the IDS in Cologne, which is the biggest trade show on technology.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Tobias from Germany, and I met Miguel last year in Germany. He was speaking in front of, I don't know, 300 dentists, I guess, and like 5 weeks before there was the IDS, and he was talking, like now he was talking about technology and how it's developing, and then he asked how many dentists went to IDS, and only 5 people were raising their hands. And he goes, no, you didn't get the question. Who of you went to IDS? And still the same 5 people, me included. So we're living in a...
You were there.
Yes.
Wasn't that shocking?
Yes.
And you know why? Not hungry. Who here is hungry? I'm hungry. I want my money back, man. Who here is hungry? So weaponize yourselves. Anyway, resistance to re-education, high cost of post-grad education. That's why what Christian and the DSD family are building here is awesome, because everything's going online, and the recent coronavirus, you'll be surprised at how this is going to change. A lot holographic, I mean, people are going to start traveling less, and that's why, again, I think this is a winning bet from yours. The high cost of technology is understood, and of course those not willing to change from analog to digital because, hey, I'm good this way. So my wife was a very successful model. She worked with Ellen von Unwerth. So Ellen von Unwerth is a very, very famous fashion photographer, and she shot my wife for the cover of Guess magazine. She was the Guess girl globally for a year. And that photograph was done with analog technology. What Ellen failed to do, like many top digital photographers, analog photographers, was to grab the transition to digital very, very fast. Because what happened was, not only did it become easier to use, faster to use, it also became cheaper. And those that did transition to digital but kept their prices high, guess what happened to them? Oh yeah. This is, the DSD has to help your patients save money as well. Okay? And one of the biggest problems I'm sure you're all facing is the time that it takes to do. And that's where later we'll discuss the slow dentistry vision. Let's look at a few other industries. Love this guy. I was born in South Africa, so I like to feel that I'm probably his long-lost brother somewhere, which of course is not true, but this guy's awesome. He started promoting, and he wasn't talking about Tesla. The fight that was really happening was electric versus gas. And that fight, everybody was watching, and they're still watching it today. And they were like, no, no, no. If you actually think about the bigger picture, almost every single war in the last 100 years was fought over petrol. The whole Middle East mess that was fought over petrol. This puts our future, and again, if you go out there in that wall, it's future, future, future. This is literally transforming our civilization. And everybody's watching that fight. And the second that they made those products more accessible and more affordable, guess what happened to sales? Boom! And that didn't happen overnight. The same way that the DSD didn't happen overnight. It's been a very long journey to get here. And a lot of people have very short memory. I don't. And this is going to, the dimension makes things more affordable because it makes it faster and more accessible. And this is something, it's a truly unique time. When Steve Jobs, back in, I don't know if, hello? When Steve Jobs and IBM back in the 80s started having a fight, and IBM was like, no, computers are just for business. Like, no, let's wrap it all up together and put it, I thought he was insane. They literally thought he was insane. And the whole world was watching that. Nowadays, all Apple has to do is come out with a new product and Samsung makes more money. That's a fact. So, that is power. It's $1 trillion company. And I have to say, when I walk in here, I see very many similarities. Because I don't really sell anything. I don't have a product. And it's very strange because I don't even do courses. My passion is telling the story of dentistry and grabbing the best of those stories. Gracias, amigo. Telling that story to as many people as possible and doing the crossover to the general public. Because I think the more the general public understands what it is we're doing, the more things will happen. Because look at these brands. Where are you from?
Emirates.
Emirates. All right. What's the name of the CEO of the Emirates?
He's a Canadian guy.
Okay. What's that? What do they make? Okay. Everything, technology. What I'm trying to say is you will know something about one of these products. Why not in dentistry? Is dentistry not a consumer product? Think about that for a while. Is competition amongst dentists and in between dental companies bad for business? I just started thinking about this. Why does my maid, my housekeeper, my gardener, don't have any of those, I was just checking if you were paying attention because I'm poor now. But why does, the guy that serves your coffee and, hey, what do you do? I do DS, what the hell's that? I use intraoral scanning, what's that? And I think that the fight between 3Shape, Carestream, Invisalign, all of these top manufacturers of scanners is bad for business. Bad for business. Why? Because 7 billion people are not watching that concealed fight. Let's bring this to the public. There's 2 companies really doing it. That's Align and the Smile Direct Club. And they're crushing it. Let's not get into if it's good or wrong. They are crushing it because they're speaking to the consumer. So all of you DSD masters, stop talking to dentists so much and start talking to your community. Watch what happens to your business. I did it in 2005, made me rich. But just choose a good financial advisor, okay? Don't do what I did. Surely Hollywood has a role to play. Can we bump up some sound there? I don't know if it got sound or not, but everybody remembers in Hangover when this guy says, oh, could actually look at this, I'm actually a doctor. He said, no, you were here last night. Maybe it doesn't have sound, don't worry. Maybe it doesn't have sound. And you're not a doctor, you're just a dentist, right? So my question is, should we not have better exposure from the world's biggest marketing machine? Every single TV show you've ever seen, every single film you've ever seen, the dentist is a lonely, stressed out guy. He's got 1980s technology,
Nemo.
zero technology. He's
Nemo.
Nemo.
Son, yeah.
Okay?
Horrible.
I'm pissed off with Hollywood right now. Let's get angry, guys. Come on, let's take on Hollywood, motherfuckers. Let's go for it. You have no idea how many people I've spoken to in power, because I do have access to these. Give me a little bit of money, and I will go to CAA, because I did live in Hollywood for 2 years, and let's write Christian Coachman. Can you imagine a movie with Christian Coachman in it?
Wow.
Can you imagine what that would do for dentistry? Eh? Okay, hashtag Christian in Hollywood. All right, let's get that one done. Because everybody knows the 80s, the 90s, and now, you know, but this is how the world sees dentistry. They only see it the way they see it. And it's a very, very big mistake for you to think that dentistry is how you see it. Our evolution is being concealed. And I think it's bad for dentists, the dental industry, and actually at the end of the day, everything we do is for our patients. I think it's bad for patients, because I still can't understand why I don't have a bigger line outside my practice. Don't you wonder that? Why is that asshole down the street got more patients than me? I tell you why, because he charges probably 20% less than you do, and the patient hasn't understood that everything he's invested in is good for them. And that's bullshit. The way the industry is done today, industry makes stuff, and they sell it to clinics. They don't really want to buy tech because it's hard time explaining the added value, public perception that excellence in 2019 or 2020 is associated to technology simply doesn't exist. Patients aren't informed. They don't know that technology-driven treatments can be in many ways cheaper, faster, and more precise. And quite frankly, there's no communications between the patient and the industry because they never even thought about it. I've done this. I go around saying, who controls your dentist? They'll go, I said, no, literally, who controls the work that your dentist does in your skull? And they'll go, oh, the local dental association? Ethics, man. Ethics. And let's face it, it's a very fluid concept. Go through a divorce, I haven't gone through that, but you know, I've been there. I've been at the razor's edge, and it didn't mess with my ethics, and maybe that's why I'm here today. Maybe that's why he chose me. So why not flip it around? Why doesn't the industry speak direct to the consumer, and let the consumer choose the clinic that has the product that they want? Starbucks came out and said, we got a $5 cup of coffee. Guys say, hey, my cup of coffee is only 50 cents. What an idiot. But they made Starbucks so cool. Who's the idiot now? So I think, and this is just a little suggestion, you definitely need to start speaking to the consumer, bro. More and more and more. And I know you're in line with that. I'm happy to be your mouthpiece for a nominal percentage in the business. Some companies are already doing it. Carestream Dental chose me to reach out to the millenniums, and they actually filmed us in my clinic with a really cool filming crew. And this was actually put all over social media in about 15 countries. And the feedback was pretty good. So connecting with the millennials and their new logo, changing lives. Because everybody needs a healthy and beautiful smile. But when we think of dentistry, let's look at Denmark that has 4,500 dentists for 5 million people, one of the lowest incidents of caries in the world. Or a country where I was recently that has only 320 dentists for 41 million people, or 42 million people. Very different concept, but guess what? You can buy a damn iPhone in Uganda pretty fast. Okay, so dentistry is a consumer product because everybody needs it, but industry, everybody at IDS, that $60 million event over 4 days that disappears magically after it's finished, hasn't managed yet to change the public perception of what dentistry is. So I think we've all been doing a very shit job at promoting dentistry to the public. So that's why when I reached out to National Geographic I mean, I have a history in dentistry. I reached out. National Geographic, everybody knows, is the most valuable brand in marketing in the world. It's very, very difficult to do anything with them. And when I reached out and I said, I want to do a documentary on dentistry, dentistry's not cool, chick, hang up. I was like, damn! So I spent 30,000 euros of my own money to make a small 5-minute movie. It's actually on my YouTube channel. If you just go to Miguel Stanley, it's a digital smile makeover. And I put in all of this digital technology with a Filipino woman who was my housekeeper at the time. And I sent that to them and they were like, yeah, I don't really see it. And I'm not one to give up. So I said, hey man, let me guess. You have no cavities in your mouth, neither does your wife or anybody in your family. Yeah, we have great teeth. I'm like, aha! You have no idea how important dentistry is. I said, go find somebody you love and care about that has had failed dentistry happen to them, and then get back to me, and then I hung up the phone. True story. We got the show. So the narrative of dentistry, the importance of dentistry, and you can watch that documentary free if you just go to YouTube and go Miguel Stanley, National Geographic, and it's really, really cool. Because dentistry has the same value in every country, regardless of age, sex, religion, sexual orientation, or race. Yet, depending on where you're born, how much money you make, your education, it varies unlike any other consumer product on earth. So it's a really, really interesting business. And again, why do people come to us? Because we open clinics. How many people here have been to those restaurants and resorts, and they have a sushi section, a pan-fried section, they have a beef section, a soup section, they have everything. Do you know how difficult it is to do the stock management of something like that? The different chefs, the different materials, the different technologies that you have. Just because somebody might want sushi and a pizza at the same time. But that's how you build your clinics. And I think that's pretty stupid. But you know what? We just followed the benchmark of our communities. Every single clinic, including my own, I've actually benchmarked Team Atlanta. Many years before I met Christian, I met Ronald Goldstein in 1997, and it changed my life, and Maurice Salam is my mentor, and he's helped me, and Team Atlanta was my benchmark. And I've never been there, I've actually never visited it. Just from that, listening to what they were doing, that's how I understood the interdisciplinary approach. So I built a clinic that could do everything, just because, hey, if I can make money doing fillings, and I can make money doing extractions, and I can make money doing crowns, and I can make money doing veneers, and desensitization and bleaching, just go over here, because I can also make money with dentures, and very difficult. Because people come for random checkups, emergency pain therapy, cosmetic works, orthodontics, missing teeth, accidents, second opinion, bad breath, implants, bleaching, and so much more, and we've got to be prepared for that. But we never know who comes through the door. We know less about our customers than we do about our Uber driver that brought them through the clinic. You thought about that? They think they're coming to judge us. Flip it around, guys. They're coming for you to judge them. Change that mindset. Because who can come to us? Male, female, young, old, poor, rich, illiterate, highly educated, dumb, intelligent, dental virgin, lots of old treatments, mentally stable, unstable, lives close by, lives far away, lots of time, no free time, healthy, sick, easy person, difficult person, polite, rude, no insurance, hygienic, dirty, opens mouth well, doesn't open mouth well, calm, nervous, and every single variation of that equation and much more. And we think we're prepared? And what we're trained to do, medical, mechanical, root canal, implants, orthodontic, dental stuff. Actually, we're only trained for 1/3 of the equation. Every single bit of stress comes from this. And that's where DSD comes in. That's where slow dentistry comes in. That's where, not many people are talking about this, and that's why it's so difficult for many dentists to understand what DSD is. It's an awesome tool. Because what we're not trained to do, clinical management, negotiation, human resources, sales, due diligence, law, procurement, communications, finance, 99% of our day if you own your own clinic. And what is asked of us? Make me happy, do it fast and cheap, lie on my insurance forms. It must all last forever. Don't take too many x-rays, don't make any mistakes. I want perfect aesthetics, no pain, be punctual. Patient seems to not want to know any of the details, what brands, what system. How much is it going to cost? Man, if that ain't the most demoralizing shit I've ever heard in my life, and every day we have to go out, we put on our shirt, we go out, and we face the world, and I bought everything, I've done everything right, and this guy comes in and man, I look at every patient as a ticking time bomb. I literally face every new patient like, I don't want to treat you, convince me that you need me to treat you. Because I already lost the money. That's the different mindset. I know how happy that made me. I know how zero stress makes me. I literally lived it. Any day of the week, no stress versus being a billionaire. Any day of the week. You hear about it on Facebook posts, but hey, you're 23, what the hell do you know? I lived this. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. Focus on no stress. What patients don't care about? The science, the diagnostics, your training, the preparation of the treatment. That's where DSD comes in. How much technology costs, how much lab costs, what type of materials you use, who pays for failure when it goes wrong, how much managing a clinic costs, and why do you take longer to do the right thing, and what do we stupidly do? Everything they ask, so we don't feed the competition. Yes, sir, of course, I'm sorry. What can unwanted patients do? Cost you thousands of euros a year, every single one of them. Even a little chipped, little veneer, pain in the ass. Tough stuff. So, what, again, DSD does, is it's almost like a blueprint, man. It's like legal insurance, it's safety, it's a huge safety net against any stress. Because now you've got a blueprint for success. But I did everything that the best brains in the world told me to do. Screw you, you can't sue me. How can patients, the things that they can do, and feel free to ask for any of these slides. So how can we stop unwanted patients? Well, we have to filter better, right? Because our marketing is, I'm the best dentist in my community, I'm the best one in my community, please come to me. That's kind of like what our websites say, right? Ideal way to filter patients. Perform 100% background check using secret CIA resources. iOS scan, CBCT, full health checkup, DSD full protocol. I've been lecturing around. This is what my lecture in Chicago. I didn't change anything for here, bro. I've been talking about this for a long time. The facial scan, full photographs, dental history, full occlusion checkup, deep psychological profile to better understand desires and potentially hidden issues like, are you cray-cray? And then communicate the case with all the family and the priest in a peaceful environment and pray the patient has the money. Right? Because without the money, DSD is just porn. Sorry, bro. No, actually, there's a lot of great work being done because ceramics are expensive. The ideal answer to a successful DSD is, let's say, lithium or laminate veneers. But there's amazing new technologies and materials coming out with nanohybrid composites and the milling machines, the precision. I actually think that with new materials and milling machines and softwares hitting the market within 3 to 4 years, manually made, which are still the gold standard, will be the second option. And considering lifetime smiles will no longer happen. And it's like, give me a smile for the next 5 years. And then with a laser, I've tested this now, you can just crack off the composite without damaging the enamel. And if everything's digital, you can literally just put it in the game. Redentistry, redentistry. And if you don't have the DSD as the foundation, then you don't have a blueprint for success. And of course, that's not very practical. So what is the solution? Change profession? I have thought about it, right? Well, I created the No Half Smiles philosophy many, many years ago. And part of that was because I had so many patients coming to me because of my TV show back in 2006 with bags of money. Somebody came in and had 1,000 euros, another one had 30,000 euros. I'm like, excuse me, hello. So I only started treating patients that wanted to do everything. Now, of course, if you're by yourself and you don't have that influx of patients, it's a very difficult thing to do. It's like a gamble. I'm very bad at gambling. But I could afford the luxury of doing that. But you know what happened? That selection process of only doing full arch dentistry, not driven by aesthetics, driven by occlusion, is what saved my practice in 2012. because for the previous 4 years, all of my patients were happy with my work, which you don't get if you do partial dentistry. You don't get it. And this is when I started listening to Christian. Everything about DSD screams full arch dentistry. It makes you look at the smile, it makes you look at the face. It connects you with your human emotions. And I was doing that before I even met him. And 100% the biggest practice builder in dentistry is controlling your patient's occlusion through, as he would say, facially driven full arch restorative dentistry with a minimal invasive approach, obviously. And if you're doing it freehand, you can't control that minimal invasiveness, and that's why these tools are awesome. So I'm going to ask you a question. What if you could only treat patients that made you clinically and financially happy? 100%. In order to answer that, the first thing you need to let go is you don't treat everybody. My major focus is my team, and I tell this to my patients to their face. I don't know you, I don't care about you, if I never see you again, it won't affect me. And they're like, ooh, nobody's ever spoken to me like this in my life. You know, people actually like it when you talk rough to them. I'm like, everything about you screams, but can't we just do the top part and we'll do the bottom part next year? Okay, hands raised that ever happened in the history of dentistry. Right? Never happens. Can't we just do the 4 front ones and then I'll do my occlusion after the wedding? Never happened. But you know what happens when you take that? I'll show you in a bit. Because every time you fail to see further than just the treatment they ask you for, you're taking an unnecessary risk. I published on LinkedIn an article called High-Risk Dentistry versus Low-Risk Dentistry. Just Google it, read it, pretty cool. How can we reduce risk? Well, I call it the no-half smiles. Every patient has the same 3 problems. What I do in my sales room that Christian was talking about, I have a water pitcher with 3 cups. If my cleaning lady puts 4 cups, I get angry with her because it messes with my show. 3 cups. And then what I do is I say, and it's almost as if it was not planned. I said, because now I've done my CBCT, just so you understand, in my practice, patient walks in, they'll do a panoramic digital. If they're missing a tooth, if they have a root canal, an old implant, or a lot of old dental work, or impacted wisdom teeth, instantly, without asking, they'll take a CBCT. Because it's free, but they just do it. It's digital, so it's very low radiation. I will see the patient's CBCT before I actually physically touch them. So they finish the CBCT, they go to the treatment room where they have a full status done, where a junior associate of mine starts asking questions that would create a few red flags. For example, people that don't want to take a CBCT, people that say, I just want to talk to the doctor, instantly there's a bunch of red flags. I will know if this person's a nut job before I've even met them. And if their case is difficult and they're a nut job, I guarantee you I will not treat them. It's what? Hard. I don't care about them. I care about my family and my friends and my stress levels. I'm not responsible for the fact that they didn't brush their teeth or that they used a Darwinian choice selection to choose their dentist based on the fact that it was close to home, super cheap and affordable, and the guy's really nice. Yeah, excellent reason to choose a guy who's going to move with your skull. But that's still what people are choosing dentists with. You are under no ethical obligation, if you're a private practitioner, at least in my country, to treat everybody that walks through the door. So, everyone brings a clinical problem, an emotional problem, and a financial problem. And if we aren't going to get past that one first, I ain't wasting time on those 2. I'm just not. So I'll give a ballpark figure. This is a $30,000 problem. It's a $10,000 problem. It's a $5,000. It's a $1,000 problem. I don't care. I don't get personally richer for guys spending $50 or $1,000. I don't. And failing to address all 3 problems in the first appointment is a formula for a problematic relationship. And back in 2010, we actually did a study with one of my TV shows where we analyzed 54 patients with an average age of 52, and there's these special assessment forms where we measured happiness, self-esteem, self-image, professional success, welfare, moral integrity, and psychopathology, like anxiety, stress, phobias. And these people had hair transplants, plastic surgeons, boob jobs, tummy tucks, Brazilian butt lifts. They had Botox, but they all got one thing. Full arch, top and bottom, facially integrated, some with dentures, some with veneers, some just with bleaching, some with composite. They all got a nice smile. 28% more happiness, more self-esteem, more self on average than any other area of elective cosmetic medicine, including plastic surgery. We are in the right profession, guys. And our profession is tougher to understand, because are we in the health business? Are we in the beauty business? Are we in the well-being business? We're in all of it. We have a true crossover hybrid profession that we still don't know how to explain to people what it is. We don't know how. You go on Wikipedia, I read the I don't identify with that. Everybody in this room. You should put people in a dark room and say, describe dentistry to me. I challenge you to find 2 identical explanations. So what business are we really in? Happiness. Happiness is our core business. And you can't achieve happiness through dentistry with your patients or your staff or your team by doing partial dentistry. And again, foundation of DSD, full arch, facially integrated smile design dentistry. And managing happiness will help you earn a lot more money than any dental treatment. So part of the rule is always do a full treatment plan, biological, functional, and aesthetic, regardless of the patient's desires. Do what they need, not what they want. And I will quote Maurice Salam on that one. And use metaphors like building a house. Yeah, doctor, so what brings you here today? Well, I need a window. Oh, really? Yeah, what else? I think I need a tabletop for my kitchen. Building his house in his head, right? Because he's managing his money. And this is, it's a human problem. Everybody wants to have the best for the, affordable. I understand. I live in a poor country, one of the poorest ones in Europe. But actually what they don't want a window or a tabletop or a chimney. What they want is the safety, comfort, and security of a home. But they're scared of being cheated. Most people are scared of being cheated. Again, the beauty of DSD. There's nothing to hide. This is exactly, and I'm going to show you some cases in a bit. Not too much, because I want to go and get drunk with you guys. Dentistry bears more comparison to the housing industry than any other consumer product. How many people here have built their own home? Okay, this is the process. You choose the real estate. Then you hire an architect. Then you hire the engineers. You choose the materials you want to do the engineering with, and that's where you can variate the price of square meter building, and then you execute with the builder. How many people here can name the builder that built, I don't know, any Frank Gehry building? Exactly. Who's Frank Gehry? One of the world's most famous architects. You're in the architecture business, my friend. And that's who people remember, because that's where the design comes from. That's where the safety comes from. That's where, can we do it, can we not do it? And of course, if there's not a treatment plan that they can accept, if they can't accept the finances, then I actually think the DSD has done them a service. By not accepting. Nobody's talking about that. This guy walks in, look at his teeth, they're fantastic teeth. They're ugly. He comes in and he says, listen, I was just down the road at another famous dentist. How much is your veneers? Because I don't put my price on my website. And I said my price, and he says, okay, here's 6,000. I want 6 veneers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, please. I'm like, really? And what do you do for a living? I'm a lawyer. Ooh. And his girlfriend's in the back like this with their Hermes bag. And I'm like, red flags. So I'm like, guys, we gotta do something here. So I made him pay 1,500 euros for this. And we followed the protocol. We sent it to Francis. And just for record, I've always paid for my DSDs. And I'm always very proud to pay for them. And I'm grateful that I can be a little bit part. Can I have my name on just the corner of this table here? Just because that's important. You can't build the future if you don't have stakeholders. So the guy went like this. We tested it. Doesn't that look fantastic? That was all done 1,000 miles away by Francis. We sent it to us. And I'm like, hey, you like? And he's like, yeah, but I've only got 6,000. I'll give you 8. And I'll do 8. And there's a nice, shining, gleaming mound of cash, smelling fresh on the table. Guess what I do? I don't accept. And now the question is, what would you do? What would you do? You've got bills to pay. Bills, we all got bills to pay. Almost everybody lives above their means in the modern society that we live in. That's a tough decision. But what we've got now is an actual blueprint to avoid failure. And that never existed before, and thanks to you, we have that blueprint. You and you alone, my friend. And honestly, it's where this can go, the ramifications of the importance of DSD in dentistry is huge. Because finance-based diagnosis is killing dentistry. And what DSD allows you to do is like, hey, this ain't me telling you need 10 veneers and 3 years of ortho and gum recontouring. This isn't me, this is the best guys in the world telling you. And that support never existed before because it was always us alone with our patient and a motorbike that would come and pick up the dentures. Now all of a sudden, hey, we're part of an organic community that protects each other. And you are the leaders in the world at that. So again, round of applause for all of you. Really amazing. Because what it does is it helps manage expectations. And you can say no. How many people here know their success rates of DSD acceptance versus failure? I would safely say that it's about, in my hands, about 25%. Say no. I use it as a tool to help them understand what else they need to do, because what they want from a human perspective, because they really want those veneers, because the marketing, let's face it, marketing aesthetics is a lot easier than marketing occlusion or health. And you really want to help this person because you fear that they might go to the clinic down the road and put on 8 veneers of their hard-earned money, and then 6 years down the line, they come back to what represents 98% of my business in the last 15 years, which is repeating failed dentistry. There's a reason why I'm passionate about this. And if you don't know how to say no, you better learn to say no. And here's a classic example of a patient that said, I want this. She's like this. This is a grinder, a bruxer. I'm like, yeah, but you got to do them and that. She was like, can't afford it. But I explained, and I didn't have a tool. 4 appointments. I had to do drawings. And you'll understand in a bit why. She said, no, I only want this. But I'm articulate. I can communicate well. Not everybody can have that capacity. And I said, no, you need to do that. And finally, after like 6 months, she finally accepted. And we did this very ugly work. I'll accept. No plastic surgery here. We raised the vertical dimension by like, I don't know, 1.5 centimeters. 2, 4 years, 12-year follow-up. That's full, actually it was EPS Empress. It wasn't even EMAX back then. That's laminate EPS Empress on that bruxer. You saw the bruxer, that's no chipping. 12-year follow-up. Sorry. You can't Photoshop that with very little bone loss. Why? Occlusion-driven dentistry. You can't do that with cosmetics. I wouldn't have done the root canals now because Pascal Magna would literally have his brain explode. So of course now we're doing minimal invasive dentistry. But the new norm is patient-driven scientific approach, minimal invasive treatment therapy powered by awesome digital technologies, excuse my typo, softwares, and new materials is the norm. This is the new normal of dentistry. And that's where White Clinic just absolutely loves DSD. Almost 6 years ago, patient came in. Everybody knows the all-on-4 was developed in Portugal. Truth of the matter is, only 4% of my patients have an absolute indication for an all-on-4. I'm Carl Misch, classically trained, I want to rebuild the bone. But we didn't know what was best, so we reached out to Francis back in the day, and he came back to us, he said, you've got these different options, and the project that they sent us really helped us choose the one with least risk. And it was this is almost 6 years ago we were doing this. And thanks to the DSD protocol, we actually, they sent us this video. You remember this back in? And I'm showing this to my patient who's gone to the other clinic that does the all-on-4s, never seen anything like this. And she's like, oh my God, this is truly outstanding. This is amazing. This is really exceptional. And we did that case. This was my first surgical DSD case that I did with you guys. And look how cool this was. They had the actual pins already 5.5 years ago to to get things at the Fox plane. This was blowing my brain. My traditional surgical prosto brain was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I couldn't really understand how it was all done, how they could get this precision, this fit, and the kindness, Francis, on the phone, the time and the hours. I'm sure you want to tell me to go screw myself many, many times, but thank you. You're very kind to my team, to me, and I'm incredibly grateful. This was the immediate post-op. Look at the CBCT, everything pretty perfect. That's her a month after the provisionals. I know that Fadi is a big fan of this. You can teach kilos on this protocol, my friend. Not the, we've got a 5-year follow-up, incredibly stable, and this is almost 6 now. She's super, super happy. Or this case of the same thing, just the last one. This guy comes to me and he says, I want veneers. And this is a big challenge that we have, and this is where the beauty of the DSD comes in and the marriage with Align. Because it's been so difficult to sell clear aligners as a pre-treatment to complex full arch cases. Because this guy comes in, same thing. He comes in and he goes, I want 6 veneers and maybe some bonding here, because they've done their homework. And the marketing of veneers has been so ubiquitous around the world that people think that they know what the solution is. And you instantly look at this and you know you're looking at about 18 months of ortho. And he thinks that the budget's going to be $10,000, and you know it's going to be about $40,000, right? So, only way to do DSD, and I'm very proud that in 2018 in the BMC Oral Health I published with Francis and somebody from my, Dr. Anna from my team, another case on the fully digital workflow, integrating dental scan, smile design, and CAD-GAM case, which we were very proud, put a lot of effort into that, and I quote this quite proudly. And again, this slide, the precision, it blows people's brains when they can see that it's measuring to the 10th of the millimeter. And now they've shopped around. Anybody over 10,000 euros has the same brain as when they're buying a car. They'll go to Audi, BMW, Mercedes, and they'll say, look, I want, and it's the one that gives them the best experience many times. And of course, the passion for the brand. There's a lot of reasons why you would buy something, but that first experience is very, very important. And of course, using these kind of videos in that presentation has really, really transformed the way that we do things. So we did the DSD, look at the tears in his eyes. We started with the clear aligners. We brought that to 8 months. The baseline changed, then we did our iOS CBCT here with CareStream, and we did a surgical guide. And then we're now about 3 months before finishing, and I did a second DSD on him. Why? Because the baseline had changed. Because we've changed. How many people do a second DSD on long ortho case? See? Isn't that amazing? You've got to give that a name. Has it got a name? That second, does it have a name? Call it, but there should be a stamp on that. And you throw it, you do it free of charge, and it's cool. No, I do it free of charge. And here, of course, we did the surgery. This is him with the second DSD in his mouth, and now he's super motivated. The gum reconturning that was planned 18 months before, and now, the day he's finished his ortho, we've got our implant integrated, everything positioned, and I think that when you reached out, when Align wanted to do that study with DSD and Align back in 2018, I think this was one of the first cases that combined DSD telling Align where they wanted the teeth to receive minimal invasive veneers. So the case was designed based on the DSD veneers. And I think we have that. So now everything's integrated. These are our preps. Very few people show preps online. I don't show my work online anymore because there's too many rude people on social media. I just have patience for rude people. They don't even say, good afternoon. It's like, wow, la la la. I can't deal with it. So true minimal invasive. And here we're trying that in. This cake was actually done by Edson da Silva, who you introduced me to, Christian, the top ceramist. And of course, bringing that round the bend, top and bottom, same day. I'm not going to bore you with dental. And we did the full arch on the same day. And you can't do that. And I never would have been able to sell this 45,000 euro case had I not had the DSD protocol. And that, we spent, about an hour or maybe 2 hours acquiring data, quite some time discussing with Francis, 3D printing. Who's paying us for that time? He might not have accepted. Very, very difficult. But there's no way you can get the big fish if you don't invest. And a long adventure, and this is his final. We've got a 10-month follow-up, and we're pretty happy with that. And you, again, I think it's much cooler to have good tech in your clinic than a fancy car in your garage. And these investments that we make truly do bring us a lot more happiness and joy. And a big problem today is patients perceive premium real estate and good marketing as a sign of quality instead of technology and trained human resources. I'm going, so many dentists, I've made that mistake myself. They'll open their clinic thinking that they're a restaurant. Be a destination. Be a destination means, I always tell my patients, because I'm not in the center of the city, that I'd rather have I'd rather spend my money on human resources and technology than on the rent. What do you want in your mouth? Okay, so these are little few things that have worked for us. And last but not least, there's slow dentistry, because I didn't want to be this guy. And that's not just patients and cases, that's decisions. That's companies saying, mine's the best, mine's the best, mine's the best. It's the number of analytical decisions we have to make every single second is mind-boggling. Like, for example, am I going to drink red tonight or white? I haven't really decided. So, I created that. If we could just get a little bit of, well, you can watch it on the website. There's no police in dentistry. So it hit me that the reason why a lot of clinics were having more patients than me was because when they call on the phone, the patient calls on the phone, they'll go, how much is your hygiene? Let's go just a hygiene one. And I'll go 100 euros. And then they'll say, oh, thank you, hang up. And then they'll call another clinic and they'll say, how much is your hygiene? I'll go 40 euros. God damn it, that Stanley's a cheat. He's a crook. How dare he charge 60 euros? What they don't ask is, what technology, how many steps are you going to take? How long are you going to take? Do you disinfect all of the instruments that are going in my mouth? These questions, why? Because we've done a shit job at marketing dentistry to people. They don't know what to ask. They don't know the right question. So if you ask me, I think dentistry is a startup. I think it's beginning right now. You can look back at the history, but that was analog. Digital's different. So here's an example, spending 30 to 45 minutes acquiring data for Dsd. I have a 30% miss rate. I don't always be successful. Who's covering that time? But what's the result? Better planning, better outcomes, less overtreatment, less risk for my patient. Who's the stamp on that is slow dentistry. Here's another one. Team spending up to 2 hours discussing a clinical case. We actively, when we have these complicated cases, who's going to do what first? It isn't just like random stuff, it's all a decision process. When we receive a Dsd that says this is what has to happen, we then have to implement the plan. What's the strategy? Patients that fly in from abroad, we have to try and understand on one day, that logistics. I have 2 dentists on my team that don't touch patients, they're treatment coordinators. That's all they do, logistics. What do we get? Better workflow, more synergy, less mistakes, better case acceptance. Again, these are some of the things that slow dentistry is all about. Take a photograph of this, it will take you to the website. And we have a few ambassadors here. We've got Fadi, we've got Andrea, we've got Bartos. And we're just starting. We're in no rush to get there. It's more of a movement. And please feel free to come and find out how you can be a part of this. So what does the future hold, guys? I don't really know. But how can artificial intelligence help mitigate, relieve failure and improve dental care? On one hand, Christian and his team will find ways of improving the actual execution of dentistry. But until that happens, I actually think, and something that I'm quite passionate about, and our friend Carl Stanley out of LA is doing something called Pearl, which is AI to find out, but what happens when AI can analyze your scans? Everything you did this week on your patients, they go to a CVS, a QVC, a Boots, a local pharmacy, they have a $20 scan, and they say, could you rate my dentistry? It will know the brand of your implants, it will know everything. And wait till quantum computing hits the marketplace. AI quantum computing will know everything instantly straight away. So you better start being ethical today, because the future will know what you did wrong. And you can't hide your mistakes under the rug anymore. And that's why I'm very passionate about ethics in dentistry, because it's the only key to success in the future. Peggy's our Canadian ambassador also for slow dentistry. You've been doing phenomenal work. Really, really, really phenomenal work. And in the future, Yelp won't be emotional. How many people here get rated, oh man, terrible clinic. I had to wait 5 minutes for an appointment and the toilet paper ran out. And you're like, God, what about my technology? Because they don't know, they don't have the tools to understand the cool stuff that we're doing. So all of you, when you go back home, don't fear going on TV shows, writing, speak to the public. Find out what you can do to change the industry we all love and care about. And pump up the music, let's go have some fun. Thank you.